being done.
Well, you say the Christian God is an explanation for reality for you, but without the Christian God, you don't have an explanation for any facts in reality. Because to have an explanation for the facts in reality, you're going to have a context to provide for their interpretation. So you don't get to just, oh, I have facts without the Christian God that explain the world around me. You have to have an ultimate to explain the world around you. Because that's what we're talking about in here, right? Is ultimate reality. What is ultimate reality? You're admitting to darkness in your worldview. You're admitting, I don't know. That would be what the Bible calls darkness. And so you don't realize how that
Right.
spans off into every given fact in reality. You might have a semantic apprehension of facts, but those facts have dependencies that go back to an ultimate that's going to tell us what the true nature of those facts actually mean in the model of reality they exist in.
Right. So if I don't have an answer, that makes your answer right.
Yeah, you don't have, do you got a context that you can provide?
No, but my failure to provide a context doesn't make your position correct.
Well, yeah, because that's the point is without the Christian God, if you don't have a context, you can't know anything is correct. If you don't accept his self-disclosure, you're going to be in darkness.
So without the Christian God, I can't know if anything is correct. I don't agree with that. I mean, I don't.
Well,
So you
don't agree. Is another when you say I don't agree, is that a biochemical reaction produced in a feeling, or do you have a rational justification?
So my justification for not accepting that is because it seems like it's just faith, right? It's just I accept the Christian God for my basis for ultimate reality. Do
you understand why you need a context to understand the nature of facts and reality? I can give you an explanation, or I can give you an example. It might be helpful, or a couple examples or something.
Well, if I needed an ultimate context to understand things, then I would have not been able to get on Discord and have a conversation with you.
No, right? That's just semantic apprehension of facts. I mean, we can agree semantically on things, but when we're talking about ultimate reality, and that's what this conversation is about, well, ultimate reality, all the facts in it depend upon an ultimate context. Like, okay, imagine I'm talking with the police officer. I'm sitting at a table and I say, I just saw a crime. A guy just jumped in a 4-door car. He threw the gun in the ditch. He shot a person before all this happened, and then he drove down the road. And so the cop's asking me information, and he's asking, to see more about the nature of reality on those dependent facts. He's asking me more questions, and then I finally tell him, well, I was watching Magnum PI when I saw the crime. Now the facts, once he finds out I was watching Magnum PI, that model of reality in which those facts existed, and he finds out those weren't facts at all. Because facts they have to have a context for their interpretation, for their intelligibility.
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen The Matrix. Like just about everyone I know has seen The Matrix. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't want to go into the whole storyline.
What is it, like
that's funny. That's funny because most people. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I can accept that it's possible I'm living in a simulation, right? What would that prove?
No, the thing is that's the problem. You can't know any fact without the context. You don't know if you're in a simulation. You don't know if you're up or down. You're in complete darkness.
Well, I can know facts relative to other events, to the events that I have direct access to, right?
Yeah, you can have it'll be a short consecutive explanation of facts that are going to be semantic, but even that last fact that you get to is going to hang on nothing, and it's going to come out of a black void. It's not going to explain the reality around you. It's going to be unintelligible. When you finally get to the last fact, it's going to be I don't know, and all your facts are like that.
Right, but then the believer says, I know. And I want to ask, how does he know?
Because God has given self-disclosure. And every fact, for a fact to not only be actualized, that is to exist, every temporal fact would have to exist in virtue of the eternal fact.
So
Hold on.
Does
And
he
to be
know
hold
the
on,
Christian
hold
God?
on, and to be able to apprehend that fact as being intelligible, there's going to have to be that ultimate revelatory context that's going to provide for its interpretation. So if God doesn't exist, facts don't exist because there's no ultimate revelatory context that's going to provide for the interpretation to make that fact even intelligible.
Right, but why? Okay, so
So when it says the invisible attributes of God are clearly seen, being understood through the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse, that all facts, everything in reality, exists in virtue of the eternal fact, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. And that includes your rationality, your personhood, your life, and your love. Those are preconditions that lie in God, his attributes, and he's bestowed those upon you. But if you don't accept that, you're operating from a position of the stark counter opposite, where there's no life, there's no love, there's no rationality, there's no personhood, and you're going to be holding to a contradictory state of affairs that you can't explain how then you have these things. But see, then you want a good reason to believe in God. You say, I need a good reason to believe in God, but you have no good reason to believe in the impersonal, irrational, lifeless ultimacy that you're operating from. See, the
so to
reason to
have
believe in
okay,
God is the fact that you have everything you have in life, plus the ability to apprehend facts to be intelligible in virtue of him. If you don't accept him, then facts don't mean anything. And you don't have the preconditions for intelligibility when it comes to life, love, rationality, and personhood. Love just becomes a biochemical reaction. It has no ultimate meaning, or because like in
why
our
does it have?
worldview, the Bible says God is love, and God is ultimate, and he's love, so love is ultimate. God is eternal, God is love, so love is eternal. But in your worldview, it's a temporal biochemical reaction. It doesn't have any transcendent ultimate value to it.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
I mean, it just, you could see how the Christian worldview, the fact that love trumps a world without God because love doesn't mean anything. It's like it's like passing gas or passing a belch. It's just another biochemical reaction. It doesn't have any ultimate purpose or any meaning to it or any reason for it. It's just a happenstance and an accident of a chance universe among a myriad of other, random happenings that have, ultimately no purpose or end to it. The only value you place on it is just a subjective, due to a biochemical reaction happening in you, and then you feel a feeling about it strongly, and you say, "Oh, it's important to me." That's it. It's only important to you, and that's just another feeling produced by another biochemical reaction.
Sure, sure. I think that's the most likely explanation. I mean, it could be wrong, but
Well, yeah, you can't have any explanation. That's the point, though. Without an ultimate context, the dependent facts can't be explained to be intelligible without it. So
That's really funny
because you have a
because
semantic
that,
because you have a semantic apprehension of facts, you keep confusing the idea that you have overall intelligibility.
so how do people get to be a ripe old age and have no issues living happy lives, not believing in a God?
Yeah, that's not the issue. People can live a happy, I'm sure Hugh Hefner probably lived some happy days as a carnal person on earth, and he lived all the way up in his 90s or something, right?
Sure, but
But
what I'm trying to say,
hold on. So his life is a dependency state that would depend upon an ultimate, and his worldview didn't provide for the preconditions of life, or love, or rationality, or personhood.
there's lots of people out there that aren't a Hugh Hefner that have lived
Yeah,
long and
yeah,
happy
sure,
lives.
sure, absolutely.
And,
There's what's the point? And how does yeah?
how do facts how do facts affect them?
Well, they what do you mean? How does it affect them? They live in a world that's completely incoherent.
Right, but what you're saying is that they've lived a life of incoherency,
Yeah,
yet they're happy and everything. So it
sure.
makes no sense to me that
Yeah,
you just
well,
deposit
yeah.
God into it
A drunk can be
because
yeah. Hold on,
they've never experienced
Boris,
God.
Boris. A drunk can be, or a heroin addict could be all happy in the gutter, completely oblivious.
Yeah, I know.
Hold on, don't start talking over me, or you're going to be muted. They can be and they can be happy even though they're completely oblivious to the reality around them. Just because someone is oblivious to the reality around them doesn't mean that God doesn't exist or that facts need a context for intelligibility.
Well, it doesn't mean that God does exist either.
If God doesn't exist, facts don't exist. For facts to exist, you're going to have an ultimate context. It's not that God just actually... Hold on.
To those people, facts do exist.
Well, yeah, they're in a diluted state that they can have intelligibility without an ultimate context. Let me give you an example. Hold on. Let me give you an example. Have you ever seen Lethal Weapon 3?
No.
Okay, there's a part in it where Riggs, the Mel Gibson character, he's coming out of a building, he's lighting up the cigarette, and he sees across the street that there's this crime in progress. This guy's holding a gun, and this girl's screaming. People are running around. And so he runs across the street, jumps on this car, dives over the car, lands on the guy, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, wait a minute, this is a rubber gun. And then the lady goes, he's just an actor, I'm an actress. And then the director steps out and goes, cut. Now, see, Riggs was very strongly confident that he had an interpretation for the dependent facts and reality. But upon a context, he saw those, what he thought were facts, weren't facts at all. He was so confident that he ran across the street and jumped on a car and dove through the air. It doesn't matter how confident someone can feel that they have intelligibility for facts. If they don't have a context, they're just idolatrously conceptualizing those facts to be intelligible, independent from the context, or from an ultimate context.
Sure, but his mistake was quickly identified.
Well, yeah, upon a context.
That's right, a context based on reality.
Well, that's not, yeah, but
nothing to do with God.
Hold on, relax. This is a rough example. It's not, see, we're not talking about ultimate reality in that example, but what we're showing you is that as you keep going down the fact chain, you need intelligibility for those facts. But for ultimate intelligibility, overall intelligibility, you're going to have an ultimate context. And see, you're an atheist, right? So your facts go nowhere.
Yeah, and I don't believe in ultimate intelligibility. That leaves the door open always for you.
Well, yeah,
the door's closed.
Of course, you're just like Riggs across the street. You're confident that you have facts, but if you were to examine your fact chain and go down far enough, you see that your facts go nowhere. They don't even go to anything. They go to darkness.
Well, an atheist or a theist could have easily just been fooled in that scenario of yours. So I don't see
I know you're not understanding.
What the importance of that analogy.
You're not understanding. Of course, a Christian. It could have been a Christian there, but he's going to go. Oh, there's a context. Now I understand the nature of reality for these facts.
Right. So
a Christian has an ultimate context. That's what you don't understand. You don't have any context at all. Can you provide one?
Provide what exactly?
Yeah, can you provide an ultimate context so that we can know the nature of reality for dependent facts?
I don't understand the question.
Well,
then
can I
you
say
didn't understand the example or anything that I have been talking about.
No, I did understand the example
because the
example is,
go ahead,
is based on.
He's not following.
Yeah, let the other guy.
His failure to name an ultimate context doesn't validate your ultimate context. I don't see how that follows.
But without the ultimate context, that's another. We can get into that. But you don't have a context at all to validate anything as being right or proper or true.
But so again, it's still the same problem that I posited, right?
No, because I have a revelatory context which has all the necessary preconditions for intelligibility. As I've said, he's omniscient, he's omnipotent, he's truth revealing, he has a sovereign plan for human history. He's an ultimate context for dependent facts. He has the necessary preconditions for life, love, rationality, and personhood. So, I mean, you're going to need all of these.
That's a personal thing, isn't it, though?
As what a personal thing?
Revelation.
No. The invisible attributes of God are clearly seen, being understood through the things that are made, so that people are without excuse.
I don't know. I have never seen it.
Well, have you ever looked in the mirror? Have you ever noticed that you have life and love and rationality and personhood, and that's all in virtue of what is ultimate? And in your worldview, so you want evidence for God, but what's evidence for your ultimate? What's
ultimate.
evidence for your impersonal ultimate? How do you have life right?
I don't have
Hold on.
an ultimate.
Well, no, everybody has an ultimate. Either that they may, you might not be consciously aware and have it identified, but it's probably an impersonal ultimate that's provided for everything else.
No, I don't have an ultimate. I always leave the door open.
Well, that's not well. Okay, if you don't have an ultimate, so then what? Then where did everything come out of? Out of an empty space?
I don't know.
But you don't. That's the point, though. You don't know anything without an ultimate context. You just have semantic apprehension of facts, like Riggs in that movie. You just have a strong, arrogant confidence that you have intelligibility. But upon examining, relax. Upon examination of your worldview, as we follow the fact dependency chain, we see that it goes nowhere, and you don't have anything that can tell us about the nature of reality or the facts in it.
You done putting words in my mouth?
No, those are the words out of my mouth, and I'm showing you how your worldview is completely incoherent.
Yeah. Well, it's just a claim, right?
Well, is that what you just said is a claim?
Yeah, I can play that game too.
Yeah, but for a claim to even mean anything, and it's going to have an ultimate context. You don't have that, so a claim doesn't mean anything. You can claim all you want, but it's not going to be grounded in anything.
You're claiming
it's
that
not
the
going to be.
claim requires an ultimate.
You're not going to have any grounding for any claim. Do you have an ultimate grounding for any claim that you provide?
No.
Well, there you go. So then you're giving me baseless. Right? See, when someone does that, they're just providing baseless claims without a basis.
Aren't you just making you're basically saying he can't make a claim because his presuppositions are inherently unjustified? Isn't that what you're really saying?
Right.
Right, but that's the same for you as well.
No, it's not.
It's literally
it's not.
So it is, right? So
no, it's not.
The way presumably you get your morality from the Bible, and you have presuppositions that, for example, that Bible is correct, that the Lord actually wrote it, that it was transcribed correctly, that your eyes have the ability to see the text and therefore understand it. You're able to do logic and all the rest of it. These are all presuppositions that you need to be able to understand the Word of God in the first place.
Right, but they're all dependency. Hold on, relax. Hold on, relax. This isn't going to be a monologue. All those are dependency states that are going to be upon an ultimate. That actually makes sense in my worldview, and they don't make sense in yours. And if you don't accept God in the self-disclosure, because within the Bible and God's word is the ultimate context for dependent facts. All things were made through him and for him. Hold on. Look, we're not going to talk over each other in here, okay? All things were made through him and for him, and without him nothing was made that was made. Jesus said, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. That they will have the enlightenment to the facts and reality which he created. If you don't accept that, fine. But give me a context by which you can interpret the facts and reality. If you can't, then you're just giving me baseless statements without a basis, just like this other guy has been doing.
Okay, so I'm going to ask my question now. How do you know?
No, I want a context. What's the context that's going to make your facts intelligible?
I've already said there are certain presuppositions that I hold.
You're not going to repeat the same rhetoric. I want to know a context by which.
There are certain presuppositions that I hold that are inherently unjustified. Now,
okay. So you want to speak from those
presuppositions are inherently unjustified. All I have to do is to show you that you do the same thing I do. That your presuppositions are also.
But you're not doing that. You're not doing that. If it's incoherent, hold on. Look, you're not going to talk over me, dude. Okay. If you're on grounds of where you can't justify anything, then you don't have an ultimate standard to say anything's right or wrong.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
You're going to say the Bible, and at which point I will reply with, do you know that
I'm going to say God's word, right? But it's not limited. It's God is the ultimate context. Look, just because hold on, this is what you clowns want to do all the time. Just because you're in darkness about the nature of reality and haven't accepted God's self-disclosure, you think that that's going to be now my worldview, and you're going, oh, you don't either. No.
I don't think it's going to be your worldview. Religious people are incredibly entrenched in their view.
Well,
All
yeah,
I wanted to explain.
You're entrenched in your incoherence.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not. All I wanted to explain was you hold certain presuppositions, and that the guy up top, Boris, anyone that tries to use this argument, this is all you do, because there's no way that they can prove that their presuppositions are any more coherent than ours. All presuppositions are inherently unjustified.
No. See, hold on, clown. This is what you're doing. No, see,
would break philosophy.
What you have to do is you're gonna have to stop talking over me. Number one.
You weren't talking when I was talking.
Yeah.
In fact, you just talked over me.
No.
But you may now talk.
Oh, I have your permission now.
Oh yes, 100%.
Yeah, I have your permission.
You do.
Yeah. Well, see, what you're presupposing is that in all of this, you're just presupposing that the God of the Bible doesn't exist, and since he doesn't exist, I don't have an ultimate context for my facts.
No, I'm not.
No. Hold on. Because for what you're saying to be true, Jesus Christ wouldn't exist, and he wouldn't be the ultimate context for all the dependent facts in reality. Since you're already admitting to being on grounds of not being able to justify anything, you then go and try to speak forth dependency statements that are not grounded in a context. So anything you say ultimately is completely unintelligible without God. But yet you're going to go forward and try to make dependency statements from your worldview that doesn't have any kind of context. And you're admitting that you don't have any justification for what you're saying.
Do you believe that you need to have God as a presupposition in order to believe in him, or do you believe you can prove it in any other way other than a presupposition?
Do you believe that everyone has presuppositions?
Yes, you do hold certain presuppositions, but can you answer that question? Is there any way to prove that God exists?
Well, I don't know if you've been answering any of my questions. I don't know why I should. You won't give me a context or the questions I've asked you.
I've already explained why it's
when you answer this question, do you have a ultimate justification for what you're saying?
I don't need one.
All right, dude. I'm done.
I don't need to answer.
Yeah, I don't need no justification. I don't need no justification to prove anything I'm saying. I can be on irrational, unjustified grounds and make statements about reality.
Yes.
Yeah, you're done.
So
yes, I can. All right, dude, you're done.